Hi, welcome to Investing 101. Today we're going to look at different investment account types. So I think a common frustration among investors is there's just too much jargon out there. When you go to invest, there's IRA, simple IRA, 401k, Roth IRA, a ton of jargon. It doesn't make sense to anybody. So today we're going to look at that and hopefully make it a lot simpler to understand. All right, so let's get started. So investment account types. So first of all, you see our boy Jackie there. He probably knows 5 million different karate moves, and look at him. He's confused. This is confusing stuff. So first thing to remember is all of this stuff means is it dictates how your investment dollars are taxed. So we've broken it down into when you put your money in, while your money's invested, the during period, and then when you take your money out. So we've got pre-tax investments. That's your traditional IRA, your 401k, your 403b, simple IRA, SEP IRA, you may hear it called. When you put money into the accounts of those types, you're getting a tax deduction. So you're not paying federal income tax on the amount that you put in. If you did pay federal income tax, you'll get a tax deduction for it. While that money is invested, you're not paying tax. And then when you take the money out, you pay federal income tax on it. Now, next type, Roth IRA. So a Roth IRA, you invest money with after-tax dollars. So it could be wages that you've already paid taxes on. You've already paid tax on it, so you put it into the account, so you don't get a tax deduction when you put it in because you've already paid tax. You don't pay tax during, and then when you take the money out, usually in retirement, you're not paying tax then either. So that's a big benefit of the Roth. You pay tax once and then never again. You pay it up front and then never again. After tax, sometimes called a brokerage account, a retail account, just a regular investment account. This is after tax money, as the category states. You've already paid federal income tax on it. So you don't get a tax deduction going in. As you're invested, so year by year, you'll pay tax on any money that your money makes. So if you get interest, dividends, if you sell investments, you pay tax. So you see there on the money out, you're paying tax on the gains. So if you put $10,000 in and then you sell it for $15,000, you're paying tax on the $5,000 gain that you've experienced. Okay, so we're going to go account type by account type, and we're going to look at scenarios where they make the most sense for you to invest. So first up, your pre-tax. Again, this is your traditional IRA, 401k, 403b. And so here we've got a scenario where we're looking at a high income earner. So here she is, it's Judge Judy. It's reported that in 2018, her compensation was $147 million. So she made $147 million and she's still that mad. Anyway, for Judy, because she's made a lot of money, it makes sense for her to want the tax deduction now. So you can see, again, here's our summary of how you're taxed. So you get a tax deduction when you invest into an account of this type. So that makes sense for her because she wants to defer paying tax as long as possible because she's in the highest tax bracket there is. All right, so next account type, Roth IRA. So again, this is kind of like the opposite of the traditional IRA, where you're not getting a tax deduction up front. Instead, you're choosing to pay the tax, invest it, and then never pay tax again. So this makes sense for people that are a lot of times starting out in their careers or just expect their future income to be higher, with the idea being that, hey, let me pay the tax now so that I don't have to pay it later if I'm in a higher tax bracket. So in this case, we're looking at Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. If Mark made $7,000 while he was in college, it would have been smart for him to put that into a Roth IRA because his income now is substantially higher than what it was while he was in college. So he pays the tax when he was a poor college kid and then never again. So finally, we've got the after-tax account. So this is often referred to as a brokerage or retail account. So the IRS puts limits on those two previous account types, the traditional IRA, 401k, Roth IRA. They put limits because they don't want you to get, in the case of Judge Judy, they don't want her to be able to put $147 million in and get a $147 million tax deduction. So they limit how much you can put into those. And the same with the Roth. They don't want you to pay tax on a bunch of money and then never pay tax again. So they limit what you can put into those each year. So oftentimes people will max those out, and then they'll have, if they still have money that they want to save, they'll use an after-tax account. And the way this works is, again, you've already paid tax on the money. You'll pay tax on the interest and dividends that your investment earns, and then when you take the money out, again, we use the example, if you invest $10,000, it grows to $15,000. When you sell it and pull it out, you pay tax on your gain. So in that case, you pay tax on the $5,000. So I hope that's helpful for you. I hope that clears up some of the jargon around these different investment account types. Again, they really just dictate how the account is taxed. One thing I wanted to point out is you could own the same investment in any one of those different accounts. So for example, if you bought a CD at the bank, you could own a CD that's in a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, or an investment account, just like you could own shares of Apple in any of those accounts. The only thing that changes is how your investment is taxed. So again, hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching.